Hi guys, so today we're going to make something of a Tex-Mex stew. Now growing up, my aunt brought in this recipe and we didn't really know what to call it. But when she made it, we all looked into the pot as small children and we did what small children do. We all yelled yuck. So that's what we've always called it all these years, is yuck. What we put into the pot is ground beef, onions, and bell peppers, okay? I'm going to go ahead and let this cook together. The onions and the bell peppers are going to become a little translucent, really soft. And you can use ground beef, you can use ground turkey, or you can use ground chuck, whichever one you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and move these to the stove now, and I'll tell you about the other ingredients that you're going to need. Now, I have here flour tortillas, but the original recipe called for corn tortillas. I'm not a fan of corn tortillas. I never have been, and I really don't care for them in this dish. I do, however, like to serve the dish with corn chips on the side, whether it be Doritos or what have you. Now, you're going to need flour or corn, whichever one you prefer, and I can guarantee you that with flour it is absolutely delicious, okay? But you'll need tortillas, you'll need cream of mushroom soup, you're also going to need pork and beans, along with corn. Ooh, and I'm using a big corn because I'm making a big pot. And then you'll also use some Velveeta cheese. Now, if you don't want to use Velveeta, that's fine. You can always use a block cheese. I'm going to use a little of both because I really like this dish to be cheesy and delicious. And my family, I think they'll love it this way. Not everyone in my house loves it. So when you go to make this, it's probably best if you make a small pot. Now, for me, I'm going to cook some of this onion and bell pepper all together, and then I'll separate some of the meat because not everyone in my house eats it. So half will eat this, the other half will eat something totally different. So I'll be back as soon as the meat is done, and I'll show you how we incorporate everything and just how fast this dish becomes a meal. Okay everyone, so our ground beef and our onions and bell peppers are all ready, and I've separated some of the meat. Like I said, I'm not making a super large pot. I really just don't need a whole lot of meat in this dish. Now right now I'm putting on a little bit of chili powder, and while I do so, I'm going to tell you a little story, a little backstory on it. I have a cousin, and this is just general house seasoning, salt, pepper, things like that I've mixed up together and put into an old reusable grinder. But I have a cousin whom his mother actually was the one that brought in this recipe. And when he makes his version of this dish, he always puts in chili, but I use a nice amount of seasonings, so I put in like the chili powder and all that, so I don't feel the need to have the chili. Okay, so now I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, and we always argue about whether or not chili was ever originally in the recipe. He thinks it was, I think it was not. So we agree to disagree, and we just don't eat each other's dish. And that's a-okay with me because I don't want to share with him anyway. Alright, so now we have like meat that looks a lot like it ought to be going into some chili, right? Now we're going to add in our other ingredients. One thing that we'll be adding in is cream of mushroom soup. Now, even though I'm not making a super big pot, this is actually going to make a lot because I'm going to put double on pretty much everything I'm pouring in. So I'll be pouring in my cream of mushroom soup, and I'm just using the can this time. So canned is fine. Homemade is great also. Alright, so let me try to use my left hand so I don't block your view. But we have the cream of mushroom soup. And like I said, as kids, we saw this and we went, ew, yuck. And that's how we developed the nickname. And it's also the reason why no one seems to know the actual name of this dish. So if you guys know the name of this dish, please put it in the comment section, because no one in my family can remember it. Alright, now I'm going to add pork and beans. And I'm adding the pork and beans, juice and all, okay? Just going to add to the flavor. And the last canned good that I'll be adding today will be corn. Now I'm adding a lot of corn, okay? My can of corn is about, let's see here, 29 ounces. Nice big can. So if you don't have that big can, then just use 2 cans. It'll be fine if you like a lot of extra ingredients, of course. Alright, so looking kind of interesting now. To a little kid, you can see why they would say ew, yuck. Now, it's time for me to add the fun stuff. I'm going to throw in some sharp cheddar. And my flour tortillas. And I only use 3 of the large flour tortillas. And I believe they're like the 10-inch or something like that. But the larger ones, that I showed you from the beginning of the video, I'm only using 3. And then I just cut them up into smaller pieces, because it's going to just sit in there and soak in all of that and just stew, basically. Which is why I said it's kind of like a Tex-Mex stew. And you just give this a nice stir so that the cheese gets underneath and the tortillas mingle underneath. And you're just going to slowly allow this to simmer until your tortillas are nice and soft. Now everyone's oven, stove, whatever, is going to cook at a totally different pace, okay? And some are working perfectly, some are not. So I just really hate to give you a time frame, but at least let it go for about 20 minutes before you go fiddling around with the flour tortillas or corn tortillas. And I'm making a mess, so it's time for me to go ahead and get this on the stove. I'll put this on about a low medium heat if you have low medium on your stove. If not, it's the notch right next to simmer. Let it cook on that temperature for about 10 minutes and just stir it. Make sure it doesn't stick, just in case your oven, you know, does cook a little hotter than others. And then move it down to simmer and just let these tortilla shells get really, really soft. Okay, so now we've let this simmer for about 20 minutes and look at that. I don't know why I said this was yuck when I was a kid, but it is so delicious now. Try it. Make it for your family. Make a small pot. Put about half the ingredients in. Probably about the same amount of meat, because I didn't do a whole lot of meat. But try it with your family. Let me know what you guys think. We always serve ours alongside a few Doritos or something like that. Or you could just eat it just like this. But this will be really great come those winter months. And also, it's really good if you're going to have friends or family over for, you know, watching a football game. Imagine this Tex-Mex chili in a bowl being served up while you watch the Cowboys lose. I know, I said Cowboys lose. And I'm from Texas. Blasphemy. But until next time, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if anyone knows what this is really called, please let me know. And I'll see you next time.